Hey everyone, ready to dive deep into the world of Buried Hearts? Released on March 12, 2025, this film has sparked endless discussions, and today, we're uncovering every thrilling detail. If you enjoy this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps us grow. And for more incredible movie explorations and hidden gems, subscribe to the channel. Now, let's unravel the magic behind this cinematic masterpiece. Hearts, released on February 21, 2025, is one of those rare television series that instantly captivates and ensnares the audience in its intricate world. From the very first episode, the show establishes itself as a masterclass in suspense, blending elements of corporate intrigue, political corruption, and personal ambition with intense drama. This South Korean series, which has rapidly become a cultural phenomenon, explores the dark underbelly of a powerful conglomerate and the secrets that unravel when the pursuit of wealth and power gets dangerously out of hand. It's not just the plot or the performances that make Buried Hearts extraordinary. It's the way it keeps you on the edge of your seat, making you question the nature of ambition and the consequences of crossing moral boundaries. In this series, every decision matters. One moment of rashness could change the entire trajectory of a character's life. In this ever-evolving narrative, what initially appears as a simple political drama soon becomes something much deeper, a visceral exploration of how far individuals will go to secure their place in a world dominated by wealth, politics, and power. The release of Buried Hearts immediately created waves across not only South Korea but globally, as audiences were hooked by the series' tight storytelling and riveting characters. The plot follows Seo Dong-ju, a seemingly devoted corporate secretary at Daesan Group, one of South Korea's largest conglomerates. Portrayed by Park Hyung-sik, Dong-ju is presented to the world as a model employee, someone who would do anything to ensure the success of the company he works for. Yet, under his polished exterior lies a man with grand ambitions. He dreams of surpassing the limitations of his role, and his meticulous rise to power is anything but simple. He is strategic, cunning, and willing to push boundaries to achieve his goals. But when Dong-ju hacks into a 2 trillion won political slush fund, a move that would set the stage for the rest of the series, he opens a Pandora's box of dangers. This fund, which was supposed to remain a hidden, untouchable treasure, becomes the very thing that sets off a chain of events that none of the characters could have anticipated. Dong-ju's decision throws him into a dangerous game with those who are far more powerful than he ever imagined. What makes Buried Hearts stand out in the realm of television dramas is its seamless mix of suspense, action, and psychological depth. At the center of it all is the cat-and-mouse game between Dong-ju and Jang-seon, the chilling antagonist portrayed by Joon-ho. Jang-seon is a law school professor with a dark past, someone who holds the strings of the nation's powerful elite, including politicians and business magnates. A man of intelligence and ruthlessness, Jang-seon becomes determined to recover the missing slush fund after Dong-ju's ambitious move jeopardizes his carefully constructed web of control. What follows is a high-stakes battle of wits, where every maneuver carries immense weight. The series' brilliance lies in how it builds tension by placing characters in high-risk situations, forcing them to make decisions that are both morally complex and emotionally charged. The visuals of Buried Hearts further enhance its storytelling. The cinematography is sharp, sleek, and packed with tension, mirroring the icy calculations of its characters. The sharp contrasts between the glittering world of corporate high-rise buildings and the dark, shadowy corners of political power add layers to the atmosphere, creating a constant sense of unease. As viewers, we are never quite sure who to trust, and this uncertainty is visually reinforced in every frame, as characters navigate both literal and figurative shadows. However, it's not just the plot and visuals that make Buried Hearts so captivating. The characters are richly developed, each one adding a unique perspective to the story. Park Hyung-sik's portrayal of Seo Dong-ju is nothing short of mesmerizing. He perfectly embodies the struggle between his outwardly calm demeanor and the relentless drive beneath the surface. As the stakes get higher and the risks greater, Dong-ju's inner turmoil becomes palpable, making him a character that audiences cannot help but invest in. The complexity of his decisions, choosing between personal ambition and the lives of others, makes him a compelling and tragic figure. On the other side of the equation, Jang-seon, played by Joon-ho, serves as the perfect foil to Dong-ju. He's the embodiment of power, control, and vengeance. Yet underneath it all, he's driven by a past that shapes every decision he makes. Joon-ho brings a chilling sense of cold calculation to his character, making Jang-seon one of the most memorable antagonists in recent television. The dynamic between Dong-ju and Jang-seon is the beating heart of the series, and every interaction between the two is charged with tension, forcing viewers to anticipate the next move in this dangerous game. Supporting characters such as Lee Hae-young's Hyo-il-do, the ambitious CEO of Daesan Energy, and Hong Hwa-yeon's Yeo-eun-nam, the granddaughter of Daesan Group's chairman, add additional layers of intrigue to the plot. These characters are tied to the central mystery of the slush fund, and as their motives unfold, the web of secrets and power grows ever more tangled. Every character has their own hidden agenda, and it becomes increasingly difficult to distinguish between friend and foe. This creates a dynamic world where no one is ever safe, and every decision comes with a heavy price. As Buried Hearts progresses, it becomes clear that it is more than just a series about corporate greed. It's an exploration of how ambition can drive people to do unthinkable things, how the pursuit of power can erode personal relationships, and how every choice has consequences that ripple out far beyond the immediate moment. The plot twists are relentless, each one coming at a point where you least expect it, making the story more captivating with every passing episode. What starts as a seemingly straightforward drama about political corruption soon evolves into a tense psychological thriller, where every character must face the repercussions of their actions. With each episode, the stakes get higher, and the tension more unbearable. Buried Hearts became a cultural phenomenon because it tapped into a universal theme: the cost of ambition. Viewers around the world found themselves drawn into the drama because it reflected real-world issues: corporate greed, political corruption, and the lengths to which people will go to achieve their goals. It's a series that resonates with audiences on a deeply emotional level because the stakes are so personal. It's not just about money or power. It's about what individuals are willing to sacrifice, including their morals, relationships, and even their lives, in the pursuit of their desires. But beyond its sharp critique of ambition and power, Buried Hearts also shines a light on the human psyche. It asks fundamental questions about the nature of trust, loyalty, and betrayal. As the characters' lives become more intertwined, they must confront their own inner demons, and this psychological depth is what keeps audiences coming back for more. It's a series that not only keeps you guessing but forces you to reflect on the decisions and compromises made by those you follow. As the series gains more acclaim, it's clear that Buried Hearts is destined to be remembered as one of the standout TV dramas of its time. It's a show that constantly challenges its viewers, keeping them engaged with its fast-paced narrative, emotional depth, and unforgettable characters. Whether you're a fan of tense thrillers, character-driven dramas, or intricate plots full of unexpected twists, Buried Hearts delivers on all fronts. It's a show that demands attention, invites discussion, and leaves you thinking long after the credits roll. For those who have yet to experience it, now is the time to dive into the world of Buried Hearts. The twists, the performances, the drama. Everything about this series makes it worth exploring. It's a story that will pull you in, unravel you, and keep you questioning everything you thought you knew about ambition, trust, and power. So, grab your popcorn and prepare for a ride. You won't want to miss this unforgettable journey into the heart of corporate and personal intrigue. Buried Hearts begins with an exhilarating opening sequence that immediately sets the tone for the intense journey ahead. It starts with a figure floating in the ocean, unconscious and seemingly lifeless. The camera zooms in to reveal an expensive watch clasped around his wrist, an image that immediately captures our attention and pulls us into the world of wealth, power, and danger. This is Seo Dong-ju, the man at the center of it all, though at this point we don't yet know the full extent of his story. As he drifts in the water, there's a palpable sense of suspense in the air, a feeling that something big is unfolding, something that will change the lives of everyone involved. At the heart of the drama is Seo Dong-ju, portrayed by Hyung-sik, a seemingly perfect corporate secretary working for Daesan Group, one of South Korea's most powerful and influential conglomerates. On the outside, Dong-ju is the quintessential employee, dedicated, loyal, and strategic in his work. His presence in the high-rise offices of Daesan Group is commanding, and it's clear that he's at the top of his game. He's known as the Daesan Man, an epithet that speaks to his dedication and success within the corporation. However, beneath this polished, unassuming exterior, Dong-ju harbors deeper ambitions. He's driven by a desire for more, to break free from the constraints of his role and take control of the empire he works for. The tension begins to rise when Dong-ju, growing disillusioned with the limits of his position, decides to take matters into his own hands. The catalyst for this is an audacious plan to hack into a vast political slush fund worth 2 trillion won. This daring move is not just a financial heist, it's a direct challenge to the system of power that Daesan Group represents. The political slush fund is the kind of secret that could bring down entire empires if it were ever revealed. And yet, Dong-ju's motivations remain unclear. Does he want the money for himself? Or is he attempting to leverage it for something bigger? This action sets in motion a series of events that will make the stakes higher with every passing minute. Dong-ju's hack into the slush fund is the first of many twists in Buried Hearts. It's the pivotal moment that shifts the entire narrative into overdrive. But things don't go as planned. The fund, which was supposed to remain safely hidden, is soon discovered to be missing. Enter Joon-ho, a law school professor with a dark past, played by Joon-ho. Jang-seon is not just any professor. He is a figure of immense power, someone with connections that stretch deep into the political and corporate elite. It's revealed early on that Jang-seon has a history that involves manipulation, control, and ruthless tactics. He's been operating behind the scenes for years, pulling strings in ways that most people don't even realize. Jang-seon's role in the story is immediately clear. He's the antagonist, and he's not one to be underestimated. He soon discovers that the slush fund is gone, and his hunt for it becomes the driving force of the narrative. What follows is a tense and calculated game between Dong-ju and Jang-seon, where every move is critical, and trust is a rare commodity. At this point, we see that Jang-seon is not just after the money. He's after something far more personal. The money represents power and control, and Jang-seon is willing to do whatever it takes to get it back. The first half of the series is primarily focused on building the complex world of Buried Hearts and introducing the key players who will shape the story. We learn early on that there are multiple factions at play, each with its own agenda, each willing to make sacrifices to achieve their goals. There's Hae-young, the ambitious CEO of Daesan Energy, portrayed by Hae-young. Hae-young is not just a businessman. He is someone who is deeply entwined in the political and corporate machinery of Daesan Group. His interests align with the group's success, but his personal ambitions drive him to act in ways that will have major consequences down the line. Then there's Yeo Eun-nam, played by Hong Hwa-yeon, the granddaughter of Daesan Group's chairman and a member of the company's inner circle. Eun-nam's role is both strategic and personal. She's involved in the politics of the group but also carries a sense of loyalty to her family. At the start of the series, she seems like a minor character, but it's clear that her connections and her relationships will come into play as the story unfolds. She's caught between family loyalty and her own desires, and this internal conflict begins to show more as the plot thickens. As the narrative progresses, the show skillfully weaves together moments of tension and drama. Dong-ju's actions begin to draw attention from the highest levels of power. Each character in the series is navigating a web of relationships, alliances, and betrayals. The plot is built on the idea that everyone has something to gain, and everyone is willing to sacrifice something, whether it's trust, friendship, or even morality, to get what they want. Buried Hearts does not shy away from showing the darkness that lies at the heart of human ambition. One of the most chilling moments comes when Dong-ju's hack is discovered. As Jang-seon and his team of enforcers move to track him down, the audience is introduced to the true stakes of the story. What Dong-ju thought was a simple heist has now spiraled into something far more dangerous. His life is in danger, and with every passing moment, the threat becomes more imminent. The cat-and-mouse chase between Dong-ju and Jang Se-in becomes a central part of the first half of the series, with each encounter ratcheting up the tension. There's also a strong undercurrent of paranoia throughout the series. As Dong-ju races to cover his tracks and outsmart his pursuers, he must navigate a world where no one can be trusted. Friendships become strained, alliances shift, and the line between right and wrong becomes increasingly blurred. As Jang Se-in and Dong-ju circle each other like two predators, it's clear that the conflict between them is about more than just the money. It's about control, power, and dominance. The suspense builds toward the middle of the series, where a pivotal moment occurs that changes everything. As Jang Se-in draws closer to discovering Dong-ju's whereabouts, there's a dramatic confrontation between the two men. This moment serves as a turning point in the story, an instant when the stakes become unbearably high, and it's clear that the game has shifted from one of ambition to one of survival. With each new twist and revelation, the tension keeps mounting, leaving the audience hungry for what comes next. Through the first half of Buried Hearts, the show expertly builds its characters and sets up the larger conflicts that will drive the second half of the series. There's a constant push and pull between ambition and morality, trust and betrayal, and the power dynamics that shape the world of corporate elites. Every character is a pawn in a larger game, and no one is safe from the consequences of their actions. With the arrival of new revelations and increasing tension between the key players, the first half of Buried Hearts leaves viewers on the edge of their seats, eagerly awaiting what's to come. By the end of the first half, the stage is set for an explosive continuation. The stakes have never been higher, and the true motivations of the characters are starting to come to light. The first half of Buried Hearts delivers an impeccable balance of suspense, drama, and intrigue, keeping the audience hooked with every twist and turn. The intricate plot, combined with powerful performances and a richly developed world, ensures that the story has only just begun, and the best is yet to come. As the second half of Buried Hearts unfolds, the stakes rise to unbearable heights, and the tension between the characters intensifies in ways that leave viewers breathless. The masterful narrative of the series takes sharp turns, leading to moments of shock, betrayal, and revelation. Each pivotal scene pushes the characters further into a spiral of uncertainty and danger. The intricate web of relationships and power dynamics that had been carefully built in the first half now begins to unravel, revealing deeper motivations and darker secrets. What seemed like a straightforward story of corporate ambition turns into an unpredictable, thrilling ride as the plot races toward its explosive climax. The first major turning point comes when Seo Dong-ju, having narrowly escaped multiple attempts to be tracked down by Jang Se-in, finds himself at a crossroads. By now, Dong-ju's world has completely shifted. What began as a desire to seize power through the slush fund has turned into a fight for survival. Every decision he makes could be his last, and the constant fear of being discovered keeps him on edge. But Dong-ju is no ordinary corporate secretary. He's a man with a vision. Even with everything crumbling around him, he remains focused on one goal: to climb higher, to control the narrative, and to outwit his enemies. As the web around him tightens, it becomes clear that Dong-ju is not only playing for the slush fund anymore. He's playing for his life. In the early episodes of the second half, we see Dong-ju's desperation mounting as Jang Se-in's pursuit grows relentless. Jang Se-in, who was already a formidable foe, begins to unravel the layers of deceit surrounding the missing slush fund. Jang Se-in's manipulation of power becomes more apparent, and the audience is treated to glimpses of his ruthless strategies. His pursuit of Dong-ju takes on a deeply personal tone. It's not just about recovering the money anymore. It's about teaching Dong-ju a lesson in the harsh realities of power. As Jang Se-in gets closer to discovering the truth, his motivations evolve, and the emotional weight of his actions is felt more profoundly. His character shifts from a cold, calculating figure to someone who's grappling with deeper feelings of betrayal and vengeance. Meanwhile, Dong-ju is forced to make decisions that betray his initial ideals. His drive to take control of Daesan Group, which once seemed so noble and justified, begins to warp as he becomes more entangled in the world of corruption he hoped to rise above. Every choice he makes is influenced by the enemies closing in on him, and the personal cost of his ambition becomes harder and harder to ignore. What began as a story of corporate manipulation and political games becomes a deeply psychological exploration of a man consumed by his own hunger for power and control. His internal struggle mirrors the escalating external danger he faces, blurring the lines between hero and villain, right and wrong. The tension between Dong-ju and Jang Seon reaches its peak in the third act, with a series of confrontations that leave both characters changed in profound ways. As Jang Seon closes in on the truth about the slush fund, a surprising twist emerges that shifts the entire power dynamic. One of the major revelations comes when it's discovered that Dong-ju's actions were not entirely his own. A secret alliance, one that had been hidden in plain sight throughout the series, emerges, complicating everything. It turns out that there are other players in the game, individuals who have been maneuvering behind the scenes, working in their own interests while using both Dong-ju and Jang Seon as pawns in their grander schemes. This revelation not only shocks the characters within the narrative, but leaves the audience reeling, questioning everything they thought they knew about the story. As the narrative spirals toward its climactic moments, new alliances begin to form, and old ones fall apart. Characters that seem to be allies now find themselves at odds, each realizing that they've been operating with incomplete information. The psychological toll of the constant betrayals takes its toll on everyone, pushing them to the brink of their sanity. The stakes now extend beyond mere corporate power struggles. With lives at risk and trust shattered, the emotional weight of the series deepens. The show masterfully moves from a high-stakes political drama into a raw, emotional experience where no one is untouched by the consequences of their choices. Among the most surprising and heart-wrenching twists in the second half of Buried Hearts is the revelation of a long-buried family secret. As the story delves deeper into the history of the characters, particularly focusing on Dong-ju's family and their connection to Dae-san Group, secrets are revealed that shake the very foundations of the plot. A betrayal of unimaginable proportions is uncovered, and suddenly, the motivations driving the characters are cast in an entirely new light. This moment shifts the emotional trajectory of the series, taking it from a battle for control to an exploration of legacy, family, and the price of power. It is in the penultimate episodes that the true nature of the battle between Dong-ju and Jang Seon comes into focus. Both men, now consumed by their individual desires, begin to see that their rivalry is not only personal, it's existential. The stakes are higher than ever before, as the two are pushed to make decisions that will change not only their futures but the future of everyone around them. Their final confrontation is inevitable, and the emotional intensity of the moment is matched only by the weight of their choices. In a climactic sequence that blends intense action with deep emotional resonance, Dong-ju and Jang Seon face off, their fates intertwined. Their confrontation is charged with years of tension, ambition, betrayal, and loss. The setting is a stark, isolated location, far removed from the corporate towers and glittering wealth that once seemed so important. Now the two men stand alone, stripped of the power they once sought so desperately. In this moment, their humanity is laid bare, and the emotional payoff of the series comes into sharp focus. The actions of both characters, final, irreversible moves, set the stage for a resolution that is both satisfying and tragic. As the dust settles and the story begins to wind toward its resolution, the consequences of everything that has come before are felt acutely. The tangled web of alliances and betrayals is slowly unraveled, with the remaining characters grappling with the fallout of the decisions they made along the way. Some are left standing, while others are left to pick up the pieces of their shattered ambitions. For some, there is redemption, but for many, the damage is too great to undo. The final moments of Buried Hearts offer a somber reflection on the cost of power, the price of ambition, and the complex nature of human desire. The ending of Buried Hearts is not neatly tied up in a bow. It's a reflection of the harsh realities of the world the series has built. There are no clear winners or losers, only people whose lives have been irrevocably altered by the choices they made. It is a finale that leaves viewers with a sense of emotional closure, but also with lingering questions about the nature of ambition, morality, and the price of pursuing one's desires at any cost. In conclusion, The second half of Buried Hearts is a thrilling, emotionally charged ride that takes viewers on an unforgettable journey. With twists and turns that surprise at every corner, it delivers a narrative that is as intellectually gripping as it is emotionally resonant. The plot unfolds with breathtaking speed, each scene building upon the last to create an experience that keeps the audience on the edge of their seats. Through its exploration of power, betrayal, and the human psyche, Buried Hearts becomes more than just a corporate drama. It's a timeless tale of ambition and the consequences that come with it. By the time the final credits roll, viewers are left not only with a sense of conclusion but with an understanding that the pursuit of power always comes with a price, one that is often paid in ways that no one can truly foresee. In Buried Hearts, the characters are not merely figures that propel the plot forward. They are the heart and soul of the series. Their motivations, struggles, and transformations define the emotional and psychological depth of the story. Each character is meticulously crafted, with their desires and flaws intricately woven into the narrative. As the story unfolds, we see them evolve in ways that challenge their own understanding of power, loyalty, and ambition. The way these characters interact with each other, their conflicting interests, and the choices they make, each of these elements shapes the essence of Buried Hearts, creating a cast of unforgettable characters whose actions resonate long after the final credits roll. Seo Dong-ju, played by Park Hyung-sik, stands at the center of the storm. From the very beginning, we are introduced to Dong-ju as a polished and composed figure. He's the secretary of Daesan Group, seemingly content in his position, yet there is an underlying restlessness. Dong-ju's world is one of wealth, power, and corporate intrigue, but he is keenly aware that he is a cog in a much larger machine. His life, although privileged, feels constrained by the invisible boundaries of the company he works for. Dong-ju is driven by ambition, a desire to escape the shadow of his position and carve out his own identity in a world where success is often defined by ruthlessness and manipulation. As the series progresses, we see Dong-ju's transformation from a methodical, calculated individual to someone who becomes consumed by his desire for power. His early attempts at subtly breaking free from his constraints, such as his bold decision to hack into the political slush fund, are motivated by a need to control his destiny. What is fascinating about Dong-ju is his layered persona. On one hand, he is a brilliant tactician, someone who can manipulate situations to his advantage, but on the other hand, he is deeply human, struggling with moral dilemmas that plague his every decision. His character arc is one of tragic inevitability. His ambition drives him forward, but it is also the very thing that leads to his downfall. Park Hyung-sik's portrayal of Dong-ju is nuanced and complex. With a subtle, almost understated performance, he brings to life a character that is both sympathetic and antagonistic. Dong-ju's internal struggles are palpable in every scene, and his transformation from a hopeful underdog to a morally compromised figure is masterfully conveyed. Park Hyung-sik infuses Dong-ju with a sense of vulnerability, making it impossible not to empathize with him even as his decisions become more dangerous. This duality is key to the character's appeal. He is at once a victim of his circumstances and a villain of his own making. The ambiguity of his morality adds layers to the narrative, making his journey all the more compelling to watch. In direct contrast to Dong-ju stands Jang-seon, portrayed by Joon-ho, a character whose presence commands the screen every time he appears. Jang-seon is the quintessential antagonist, but what makes him so captivating is his complexity. He is not merely a cold, calculating figure intent on pursuing power. He is a man whose past, scars, and personal ambitions bleed into his every action. Jang-seon's primary goal is to recover the missing slush fund, but as the story unfolds, it becomes clear that his pursuit is driven by something much more personal. He is a man of principle, albeit twisted, and he believes in the importance of maintaining control in a world where chaos is always lurking. What sets Jang-seon apart from other antagonists is the fact that his actions are not solely driven by a desire for wealth or status. He genuinely believes in the moral righteousness of his decisions, even as they lead to destruction. Joon-ho's portrayal of Jang-seon is magnetic. He infuses the character with an intensity that draws the audience in, making it impossible to look away. With each calculated move, Jang Seon becomes more than just a figure of power. He becomes a reflection of the moral compromises that come with the pursuit of control. There's an undercurrent of pain in Jang Seon's performance, a sense of loss and betrayal that humanizes him even as his actions become increasingly ruthless. His character arc is one of tragic inevitability as well. He is locked in a battle he cannot win, and yet his commitment to maintaining control and order makes his eventual downfall all the more heartbreaking. Supporting characters play a crucial role in shaping the narrative, each adding a unique layer of complexity to the central story. Yeo Eun-nam, played by Hyung-sik, is a character whose motivations evolve as the story progresses. Initially introduced as the granddaughter of Daesan Group's chairman, Eun-nam seems to occupy a privileged position within the company. However, as we delve deeper into her character, we see that she is much more than just a figurehead. Eun-nam is caught between her loyalty to her family and her desire to carve out her own path. Her involvement in the political and corporate machinations of Daesan Group is significant, but what makes her character truly fascinating is the internal conflict she faces. She must balance the demands of her family with her growing disillusionment with their methods. As the story develops, Eun-nam's character arc becomes more prominent. She shifts from being a seemingly secondary figure to someone whose actions will have a profound impact on the story's outcome. Her transformation is subtle, but it's clear that she is not content to remain passive in a world of corporate power struggles. Hong Hwa-yeon's portrayal of Eun-nam brings depth and nuance to the character. She perfectly captures the inner conflict of a woman torn between loyalty and self-determination, and the moments when her true intentions come to light are some of the most satisfying in the series. Eun-nam is a reminder that the world of buried hearts is not simply one of black and white. Every character is grappling with shades of gray. Hyo Il-do, played by Lee Hae-young, is another key supporting character whose motivations are initially unclear but become more central as the plot progresses. Il-do, the ambitious CEO of Daesan Energy, is a man driven by a desire to expand his influence within the company. He is portrayed as an individual with a clear vision, someone who is willing to do whatever it takes to succeed. At first glance, Il-do seems like a minor player in the story, but as the political drama unfolds, it becomes evident that he is a central figure in the larger power struggle at play. His relationship with both Dong-ju and Jang Seon is fraught with tension, and it is his actions that often tip the balance of power in unexpected ways. Lee Hae-young's portrayal of Il-do is sharp and commanding. He brings a calculated coolness to the role, making it clear that Il-do is someone who sees the bigger picture, always working several steps ahead. His interactions with the other characters are laced with subtle manipulation, and it's clear that his loyalty is always subject to change depending on what will benefit him the most. Il-do's arc takes him from a position of relative power to one of increasing desperation, and by the end of the series, his transformation is a testament to the destructive nature of unchecked ambition. In addition to these central figures, Buried Hearts also introduces a host of minor characters who are integral to the plot. Some are allies, others are enemies, but each character serves to deepen the complexity of the narrative. These supporting characters often play pivotal roles in moving the story forward, whether it's a betrayal that shifts the balance of power or an alliance that provides unexpected support. The series does an excellent job of ensuring that every character, no matter how small their role, has a significant impact on the story's outcome. Ultimately, the characters in Buried Hearts are what make the series so compelling. Their arcs are intricately connected to the themes of the show: power, ambition, morality, and the price of pursuing one's desires. Through their motivations and transformations, we come to understand the cost of success in a world built on manipulation and deceit. The performances of the actors bring these characters to life, turning them from mere figures on a screen into deeply memorable individuals whose fates are inextricably tied to the larger story. By the time the series reaches its conclusion, the characters of Buried Hearts will linger in the minds of viewers, their journeys a poignant reminder of the personal toll that ambition and power can take. Buried Hearts is a show rich with hidden details, subtle references, and symbolic elements that elevate its storytelling and make it an unforgettable experience for the sharp-eyed viewer. From the very first frame to the final scene, the creators have woven in layers of meaning, rewarding those who take the time to examine every moment closely. These details not only enhance the emotional weight of the narrative, but also offer a deeper understanding of the characters and the world they inhabit. As we delve into the intricacies of Buried Hearts, we uncover the clever foreshadowing, cultural callbacks, and Easter eggs that make the show so much more than just a thrilling corporate drama. One of the most fascinating aspects of Buried Hearts is its use of subtle references to Korean culture and history. The series is set in a world of high-stakes corporate power struggles, but beneath the glossy exterior of boardrooms and skyscrapers lies a rich tapestry of cultural commentary. Take, for example, the repeated visual motifs of traditional Korean architecture, particularly the delicate yet imposing palace gates that are featured prominently in the background of several key scenes. At first glance, they might seem like mere decoration, a way to fill the frame with something aesthetically pleasing. However, they carry deeper significance. The gates, with their intricate design, symbolize the barriers that each character must overcome, both literal and metaphorical, as they fight for control. The traditional elements of Korean culture, which represent an ancient order of power and legacy, are constantly in contrast with the modern world of corporate corruption and manipulation. This juxtaposition is not just visual. It is a reflection of the characters' internal battles between tradition and ambition, personal desire and collective responsibility. The show's treatment of power dynamics is another cultural reference that adds layers of meaning. There's a constant tension between the old guard and the new generation, as represented by characters like Yeom Jang-seon and Seo Dong-ju. Jang-seon, the ruthless older corporate titan, is a clear embodiment of the older, more traditional power structure in Korea, one where loyalty, hierarchy, and bloodlines dictate success. His approach to leadership is grounded in the idea of maintaining control, a concept deeply embedded in Korean cultural history, particularly within family-run conglomerates known as chaebols. Dong-ju, on the other hand, represents a newer, more ambitious generation, a character willing to bend the rules, even break them, in his pursuit of power. His rise is symbolic of the changing face of Korean society, where younger generations are increasingly challenging traditional norms. This generational clash is at the heart of Buried Hearts, and the tension between the two opposing forces permeates every aspect of the plot, reflecting broader societal shifts. Another cultural reference lies in the way the series uses food, particularly traditional Korean dishes, to underscore themes of loyalty, family, and power. Food in Korean culture often carries heavy symbolic weight, and Buried Hearts uses this to its advantage. One notable moment comes when Dong-ju and his estranged father share a meal together, an intimate scene that is steeped in significance. The dish they eat, banchan, or the small side dishes that accompany a main meal, serves as a reminder of the familial ties that bind them. However, in this context, the banchan also symbolizes the fragmented nature of their relationship. Each side dish is a small part of the whole, just as each decision in Dong-ju's life is a piece of his larger struggle for control. The food doesn't just nourish their bodies, it nourishes their emotional connection, which is, in many ways, on the brink of disintegration. The show's visual language is another area rich with hidden details. One of the most striking motifs that runs throughout Buried Hearts is the recurring use of mirrors and reflective surfaces. From the polished glass windows of corporate skyscrapers to the reflective water in Dong-ju's childhood home, mirrors serve as a powerful symbol throughout the series. They represent the duality of the characters' lives, the public persona they present to the world and the private, often conflicted selves they hide. For Dong-ju, mirrors are a constant reminder of the self he is striving to become, but also the man he is losing touch with. His reflections show the gradual erosion of his integrity as he becomes more ensnared in the world of corporate greed and manipulation. This visual technique is used to powerful effect in several key scenes, where the mirror becomes a metaphor for the characters' fractured identities. In a particularly poignant scene near the end of the second half, Dong-ju stands in front of a large mirror, looking at his reflection as if seeing himself for the first time. His expression is one of disbelief, as though he is finally confronting the man he has become. This moment, set against a backdrop of cold, polished glass, marks a key turning point in his character arc, a visual metaphor for his loss of self and the toll that ambition has taken on his soul. As we move deeper into the story, we notice a subtle but powerful use of color that further enhances the emotional depth of the characters. In Buried Hearts, color is not just a stylistic choice. It is a visual shorthand for the emotional states of the characters. The most prominent example of this is the color red, which appears throughout the series, often in the form of clothing or props. Red, in Korean culture, is a color that symbolizes both power and danger. For Dong-ju, red is an indicator of his growing obsession with control. He wears red suits in moments where he is fully embracing his ambition, his desire to dominate the corporate world and eliminate any threat to his rise. However, red also symbolizes the bloodshed that comes with this quest. It is the color of violence and betrayal, and as the series progresses, we see Dong-ju's increasing descent into moral ambiguity, as represented by his shifting relationship with the color. There are also more personal Easter eggs that reward sharp-eyed viewers. For instance, during a tense meeting between Dong-ju and Yeom Jang-seon, the camera lingers for a moment on a small painting on the wall behind them. It depicts a serene landscape of mountains and rivers, an iconic Korean painting style known as sumakwa. At first glance, this might seem like a simple piece of decor, but upon closer inspection, the painting features subtle hints of chaos. A storm cloud on the horizon and turbulent waves in the river, foreshadowing the turmoil that will soon engulf both characters. This is just one example of how Buried Hearts uses visual cues to hint at future developments, rewarding viewers who pay attention to the details. Another clever Easter egg occurs in the final act, when Dong-ju stands on the rooftop of a high-rise building, overlooking the city. If you look closely at the skyline, you'll see the faint outline of a dragon etched into the shadows of the buildings. Dragons are a common motif in Korean mythology, symbolizing power and authority, but they are also creatures that are known to be unpredictable and dangerous. This visual metaphor hints at Dong-ju's own journey. His rise to power has been swift, but it is fraught with peril. The dragon, though majestic, represents the chaos and destruction that comes with unchecked ambition, and its presence in this final scene serves as a poignant reminder of the costs Dong-ju has paid for his pursuit of control. As we move toward the climax of the story, the foreshadowing becomes even more pronounced. One of the most subtle yet significant moments of foreshadowing occurs early on when Dong-ju receives a gift from his mother, a small jade pendant. At first, it seems like an insignificant gesture, but as the story unfolds, we realize that the jade symbolizes balance and harmony in Korean culture. Dong-ju's possession of the pendant, then, is a poignant symbol of the balance he seeks in his own life. However, as he becomes more consumed by his quest for power, he loses the pendant, both a literal and figurative representation of the balance he once sought. The loss of the pendant is a turning point in the series, marking Dong-ju's complete surrender to his darker impulses. By the time the final moments of Buried Hearts arrive, every detail, every reference, every symbol, and every callback comes together to create a cohesive, emotionally resonant conclusion. The show rewards those who have been paying attention to the smallest of details, offering them a rich and layered experience. Buried Hearts is not just a tale of corporate intrigue and ambition. It is a work of art that uses every element, from visual cues to cultural references, to create a narrative that feels both timeless and profoundly meaningful. The hidden details and Easter eggs throughout the series are a testament to the craftsmanship of the creators and the depth of the story they've crafted. For viewers willing to dive deeper into the world of Buried Hearts, there is a wealth of hidden treasures waiting to be uncovered. Behind every great movie or series lies a fascinating world of production challenges, unexpected twists, and hidden stories that often go unnoticed by the audience. Buried Hearts is no exception. As we peel back the curtain, we uncover a behind-the-scenes journey that is as riveting as the drama on screen. From production obstacles to controversial decisions, the making of Buried Hearts is filled with strange facts and incredible stories that highlight the passion, dedication, and sometimes sheer luck that brought this cinematic masterpiece to life. One of the first challenges that the Buried Hearts team faced was the sheer scale of the production. Set against the backdrop of sprawling, gleaming corporate offices, towering skyscrapers, and luxurious homes, the series required a level of realism that could immerse viewers in the high-stakes world of corporate power plays. Yet, creating this world wasn't as easy as simply shooting in existing office buildings. The team had to construct several of the sets from scratch, including the iconic Daesan Group headquarters, a space that became the epicenter of the show's intrigue. The headquarters, with its sleek, modern design, was built on a massive soundstage and featured a level of detail that bordered on obsessive. The design team faced the challenge of ensuring that every element of the set felt authentic to the world of corporate Korea. One of the most intriguing aspects of the Daesan Group headquarters was the integration of traditional Korean design elements. The corporate offices were not just modern, cold spaces. They featured intricate wooden panels and delicate stonework that evoked a sense of Korea's ancient history. This decision was driven by the show's central theme, the clash between the old and the new, between tradition and modernity. It wasn't just about making the space look luxurious. The set design told a deeper story about the characters' internal conflicts and the power dynamics at play. The attention to detail, however, didn't come without its challenges. The design team spent months sourcing the exact materials needed to create this balance of contemporary and traditional aesthetics. They even had to bring in specialists from Korea to help craft the custom-made furniture and intricate woodwork. As the production team worked tirelessly to create the perfect set, the cast faced their own set of challenges. One of the strangest facts about the making of Buried Hearts revolves around the physical transformation that several of the actors underwent for their roles. Park Hyung-sik, who played Seo Dong-ju, famously took a very hands-on approach to his preparation, even going so far as to shadow real corporate executives for weeks to better understand the nuances of power dynamics in the business world. His immersion in the corporate lifestyle was so intense that at one point, he was asked by a high-ranking executive to attend a board meeting under the pretense of being a new recruit. The experience left him feeling both out of place and surprisingly inspired. It's said that the executives were somewhat bewildered by his presence, but Park took mental notes on everything, from the way executives interacted to the subtleties of corporate speech patterns. The commitment paid off, as his portrayal of Dong-ju felt authentic and grounded in the world he was meant to represent. In an interesting twist, Park Hyung-sik's preparation for the role also involved significant changes to his physicality. To portray the role of a rising corporate star, he had to look both sophisticated and commanding. His trainer and dietitian put him on an intense workout regimen to give him a leaner, more athletic appearance, but what truly surprised many was how much he transformed his posture. Hyung-sik worked with a coach to perfect his corporate walk, the confident yet subtle stride that embodies the self-assurance of someone who has mastered the art of power. It wasn't about changing his body, but rather the way he moved in it. This attention to detail made his performance stand out, as his body language became an extension of Dong-ju's ambition and inner turmoil. But the physical transformations didn't stop there. Joon-ho, who portrayed Yeom Jang-seon, underwent a particularly striking transformation for his character. Known for his typically clean-cut appearance, Joon-ho underwent a major makeover for the role. The actor, who is already in his 50s, had his hair grown out to a more unruly length and dyed darker to create a stark contrast to his typical refined image. This decision was not just for aesthetic reasons. It symbolized Jang-seon's internal struggle between maintaining control and descending into chaos. In fact, Jang-seon's hair became a sort of character in itself. As his moral compass deteriorates, the hair grows messier, symbolizing his loss of order and discipline. The transformation was so drastic that Joon-ho reportedly received mixed reactions from friends and colleagues who had never seen him in such a disheveled state. The actor embraced the change, knowing that his physical appearance would help convey the psychological unraveling of his character. While the actors' transformations were crucial to the authenticity of their performances, the crew also faced some very unusual challenges in bringing the story to life. The most surprising one, however, came in the form of an unplanned shooting delay. In the middle of production, a massive typhoon struck the city where the series was being filmed, forcing the crew to halt shooting for several weeks. The storm, which caused significant damage to parts of the set, became an unexpected turning point in the production process. As the storm raged on, the team had to scramble to find ways to continue filming without damaging the intricate sets. Some of the most iconic outdoor shots, especially those of the sprawling corporate buildings, had to be res-hot after the storm passed. However, the storm's aftermath turned out to be a blessing in disguise. The rain-soaked streets and misty skyline provided an eerie, atmospheric backdrop that added a layer of tension to the scenes, making them even more impactful. This experience is often cited by the cast and crew as a defining moment in the production of Buried Hearts. Director Kim Song-hun took full advantage of the unplanned delay, using the time to fine-tune the script and rework some of the character arcs. The rain-soaked atmosphere also led to one of the most iconic moments of the show, the moment when Dong-ju, now completely consumed by his ambition, gazes out over the city while a thunderstorm rages in the background. This scene was originally written to take place under clear skies, but the storm added an element of chaos that perfectly mirrored Dong-ju's inner turmoil. The unpredictability of the storm became a metaphor for the uncontrollable forces at play in the characters' lives. Yet not all the production challenges were weather-related. One of the more curious behind-the-scenes stories involves the creation of the Daesan Group's CEO office, a set that was built to perfection, down to the smallest detail. The design team wanted the office to feel imposing, a space that conveyed both wealth and power. They opted for a massive desk made of solid mahogany, which weighed several tons and took a team of workers over a week to install. However, the desk proved to be more of a logistical nightmare than anyone had anticipated. During one of the filming days, the desk unexpectedly collapsed under its own weight. The crew scrambled to fix the damage in time for the next shoot, but the episode's director, eager to salvage the moment, decided to incorporate the desk's collapse into the story. In a final twist of fate, the collapse of the desk was written into the script as a symbol of the crumbling power structure at the heart of the story. The damaged desk became a recurring motif, symbolizing the fragile nature of the empire that the characters are desperately trying to maintain. Amid all the production challenges, Buried Hearts also saw its share of controversies. The most talked about moment, however, was one that occurred during the early stages of filming, when the creative team faced criticism from several cultural critics who argued that the series glorified corporate greed and corruption. Some claimed that the show's portrayal of ruthless corporate behavior might be seen as too glamorized and could potentially send the wrong message to viewers. In response to these concerns, director Kim Song-hun and the screenwriters took extra care to ensure that the characters' descent into moral decay was portrayed with nuance and complexity. They wanted to show the cost of ambition, not just its rewards. The decision to depict the characters as flawed, multidimensional individuals rather than mere villains or heroes was a conscious one, and it helped shift the narrative away from glamorizing corporate corruption to exploring the emotional and moral consequences of ambition. One of the most controversial moments, though, came in the final episode when a pivotal character makes a morally ambiguous decision that many viewers found difficult to reconcile. This moment sparked widespread debate online, with fans questioning whether the character had truly learned anything throughout the series, or if they had merely become another pawn in the game of power. Despite the backlash, the decision to leave the ending open-ended was deliberate, reflecting the unpredictability of real life and the blurred lines between right and wrong. This unresolved tension has become a hallmark of Buried Hearts, with viewers continuing to discuss and debate the ending long after the credits rolled. From production challenges to unexpected delays, from controversies to hidden moments of brilliance, the making of Buried Hearts was a journey full of surprises. The film crew's adaptability, the cast's commitment to their roles, and the creative choices that were made along the way all played a crucial role in bringing this story to life. The behind-the-scenes stories not only enrich our understanding of the series, but also make us appreciate the hard work, dedication, and unforeseen moments of brilliance that shaped Buried Hearts into the cultural phenomenon it has become. Buried Hearts is a show that excels not just in its complex characters or intricate plot twists, but in its ability to evoke deep emotional responses through carefully crafted moments. These key scenes, charged with thematic significance and emotional resonance, shape the trajectory of the story, leaving lasting impressions on viewers and sparking widespread conversation. At its heart, the series is an exploration of power, ambition, and the consequences of choices, elements that are fully realized in its most impactful moments. One of the most defining and emotionally charged moments in Buried Hearts occurs near the middle of the series, when Seo Dong-ju, played by Park Hyung-sik, finds himself at a crossroads. Up until this point, Dong-ju has been navigating the cutthroat world of corporate politics with a mix of idealism and ambition. However, in this pivotal scene, Dong-ju is faced with a moral dilemma that forces him to confront the darkness he has been ignoring. After a tense meeting with his mentor, Yeom Jang-seon, Dong-ju stands alone on the rooftop of a high-rise building, gazing out over the sprawling city below. The camera lingers on his face as the weight of his choices begins to settle in. It's a moment of quiet reflection, yet the stakes are palpable. The city skyline, bathed in a cold blue light, serves as a stark backdrop to Dong-ju's internal struggle. This scene encapsulates the tension between his personal desire for power and his growing awareness of the moral cost of his actions. The emotional depth of this moment lies in its subtlety. There is no dramatic speech or overt expression of conflict. Instead, the camera captures Dong-ju's struggle through his facial expressions and body language. As he stands on the rooftop, he is not just contemplating the future of the company, but his very identity. The weight of the corporate world, the manipulation, and the sacrifices become overwhelming. This scene marks a critical turning point in Dong-ju's character arc, as he begins to acknowledge the cost of his ambition. For the audience, it is a moment of tension, a breath held in the space between the idealism of his early days and the inevitable transformation into a man who will do anything to secure his position. The cold, distant city in the background serves as a metaphor for Dong-ju's growing isolation. He's no longer just part of the system. He's becoming it, and the realization is devastating. Another key moment that amplifies the emotional and thematic impact of Buried Hearts is the death of a beloved character, an event that shifts the narrative in unexpected ways. The character's death, though seemingly inevitable given the dangerous world they inhabit, comes as a shocking blow to both the audience and the other characters. In this moment, the show delves into themes of loyalty, betrayal, and the fragile nature of power. The death is not just a plot device, but a symbol of the costs that come with unchecked ambition. It serves as a wake-up call to the characters, particularly Yeom Jang-seon, whose belief in his ability to control the world around him is shattered by the loss. What makes this scene so powerful is the sheer emotional weight it carries. The loss of the character is not presented as an isolated event, but as part of a larger pattern of consequences that the characters have failed to see coming. The death, though tragic, is also deeply symbolic. It represents the moral decay that has been slowly building throughout the series. In the wake of this loss, Jang-seon and Dong-ju must reckon with the impact of their actions, and the audience is forced to confront the dark reality that ambition often comes with a price too steep to pay. The impact of the death ripples through the narrative, changing the course of events in profound ways. The emotional fallout is felt in every interaction that follows, making the loss feel all the more devastating. Thematically, this death underscores one of the core messages of Buried Hearts, that the pursuit of power can lead to destruction not only for others, but for oneself. The characters, in their quest to rise above their peers, fail to see the cracks in their own moral foundations. This moment forces them to confront the consequences of their actions, a theme that runs throughout the series. It also serves as a reminder that no matter how much control one may appear to have, fate and loss are often unpredictable forces that no one can escape. One of the most haunting and powerful moments in Buried Hearts comes in the form of a quiet confrontation between Dong-ju and his estranged father. The scene takes place in the middle of the series, just after Dong-ju's ascent within the company. The father, a character whose presence has loomed over Dong-ju throughout the series, finally appears face to face with his son. The conversation that unfolds is laced with unspoken emotions and a history of unresolved tension. Their strained relationship, built on years of distance and betrayal, comes to a head in this intimate moment. The emotional power of this scene lies in its vulnerability. The father, once a powerful figure, now appears frail and broken, a shadow of the man Dong-ju once admired. Dong-ju, too, is a changed man, his ambition having distanced him from everything he once held dear. As the conversation unfolds, Both characters are forced to confront the wounds they have inflicted on each other. The father's final words, full of regret and sorrow, resonate deeply with Dong-ju, who is beginning to realize the true cost of his ambition. The scene is charged with a quiet sadness, as both men face the reality of their relationship, one that can never be repaired, no matter how much they try to fix the broken pieces. This moment is significant not only for its emotional depth but for its thematic weight. It highlights the destructive nature of unchecked ambition, which not only damages personal relationships but also erodes the foundation of one's own identity. Dong-ju's father, a man who sacrificed everything for the sake of power, now finds himself a mere shell of his former self. The encounter between the two men serves as a poignant reminder that in the pursuit of power, there is always something, someone, that is left behind. For Dong-ju, this is a moment of reckoning, a realization that the cost of his rise to the top may be too high to bear. Another unforgettable scene in Buried Hearts occurs near the end of the series, during the final confrontation between Dong-ju and Yeom Jang-seon. This moment is charged with an intensity that builds throughout the series, as the two men finally face off, each determined to outmaneuver the other. The emotional stakes are at their highest, as both characters realize that the game they've been playing has reached its inevitable conclusion. Their exchange is brutal, filled with personal revelations, betrayals, and the raw emotion of two men who have spent their lives trying to control everything around them. What makes this scene so impactful is the way it encapsulates the themes of power, control, and moral decay that have been building throughout the series. Both characters are broken in their own ways, their actions having led them to this point of no return. The audience is left with a sense of emptiness, as the two men, who were once masters of their world, now stand on the precipice of their own destruction. The scene is a culmination of everything Buried Hearts has been building toward, an exploration of the cost of ambition, the fragility of power, and the inevitable downfall of those who seek to control everything around them. In terms of audience reaction, this final confrontation was one of the most talked about moments of the series. Viewers were left in awe of the emotional intensity of the scene, with many praising the performances of Park Hyung-sik and Joon-ho. The way in which they conveyed the raw, unspoken emotions of their characters, particularly in the face of betrayal and loss, resonated deeply with audiences. The scene's thematic weight, too, had a lasting impact, with many viewers reflecting on the personal cost of ambition and the dangers of unchecked power. Finally, one of the most powerful moments in the series occurs in the closing scene, where the fallout of all the decisions made throughout the series is finally revealed. The camera pulls back, showing the characters in the aftermath of their choices. The city skyline, once a symbol of aspiration and ambition, now seems distant and cold. The characters are left to face the consequences of their actions, and the audience is left with a lingering sense of unresolved tension. The final moments of Buried Hearts are bittersweet, offering no easy answers, but instead a sense of finality that is both tragic and inevitable. This closing moment encapsulates the series as a whole, its exploration of power, ambition, and the consequences of one's choices. It leaves viewers with a sense of melancholy, but also with the understanding that the characters' journeys are far from over. The emotional and thematic significance of this final scene lingers long after the credits roll, inviting viewers to reflect on the story and the moral lessons it imparts. Behind the shimmering surfaces of Buried Hearts lies a world of creative ingenuity and technical brilliance that brought its richly layered story to life. From the very first frame, it's clear that this is a film that doesn't just rely on the strength of its plot or its characters. It also boasts an astonishing level of visual and technical detail that pulls the audience deeper into its gripping narrative. The journey from concept to screen was filled with innovative choices, unique challenges, and groundbreaking techniques that set Buried Hearts apart from its contemporaries. One of the most fascinating aspects of Buried Hearts is how it blurs the lines between traditional filmmaking and modern technology. The film's creators understood that in order to truly immerse the audience in its world of corporate power, ambition, and internal conflict, they needed to create not just a series of events, but an atmosphere. This started with the way the camera captured the essence of the character's journey. The filmmakers used a mix of classic and cutting-edge cinematography to convey the emotional gravity of every scene while maintaining a fluid sense of movement. This was especially crucial in the film's most tense moments, where the camera moves not just as an observer but as a participant in the action. The sweeping, almost ethereal shots of the city, sprawling skyscrapers, the hum of the corporate landscape, became characters themselves, reflecting the cold, impersonal nature of the world the characters inhabit. One key scene that exemplifies this cinematic style occurs in the film's opening moments. As we are introduced to the sleek, almost mechanical environment of the corporate world, the camera weaves in and out of the towering glass buildings, creating an almost dreamlike quality. This isn't just a city. It's an entity, cold and unforgiving, mirroring the inner worlds of the characters who navigate it. The decision to use drone cameras to capture sweeping overhead shots of the city was a technical breakthrough that allowed the filmmakers to communicate the vastness of the world in which the characters operate. The city becomes both a physical and psychological landscape, setting the stage for the tensions that will unfold. Beyond the choice of location and cinematography, the production team faced several technical challenges in the process of bringing Buried Hearts to the screen. One of the most surprising hurdles came during the design and execution of the key set piece, the sprawling headquarters of the Daesan Group. The headquarters is not just a backdrop to the drama. It is almost a character in itself, representing the power and authority that drives the narrative forward. However, creating such a complex, modern set was no small feat. The filmmakers faced the challenge of designing a space that would appear both ultramodern and timeless. A space that would embody the cutting-edge, yet traditional values of the company. The construction of the set was a massive undertaking. Every detail, from the reflective glass surfaces to the minimalist office furniture, was meticulously planned to reflect the themes of control, order, and isolation. But the real technical achievement was in the lighting. The Daesan Group headquarters was designed to have a stark, almost clinical look, but the lighting crew went to great lengths to ensure that the space still felt alive, not cold. They used a combination of natural and artificial lighting, manipulating shadows to create a sense of mystery and unease. In key scenes, the lighting fluctuates dramatically to mirror the emotional state of the characters, such as when Dong-ju's rise to power is accompanied by a steady flood of harsh, artificial light, emphasizing his single-minded ambition. In contrast, as his moral ambiguity grows, the lighting becomes softer and more diffused, reflecting his internal confusion and disillusionment. It was a decision that would go on to shape the mood of the entire film, and the meticulous attention to lighting became one of the most talked-about features of the movie's visual style. Another technical achievement that stands out in Buried Hearts is its seamless blend of practical effects and CGI. While the film features its fair share of explosive, high-energy moments, it never relies too heavily on special effects. Instead, it combines practical effects with visual effects in a way that feels both grounded and fantastical, making every moment on screen feel tangible. One of the most challenging sequences to execute was a pivotal car chase scene that sees Dong-ju trying to escape from a dangerous confrontation with rival corporate members. Rather than relying on high-tech, computer-generated car stunts, the production team used practical car rigs and expertly choreographed stunt work, augmented by subtle CGI to enhance the speed and impact of the chase. The result is a sequence that feels visceral and real, heightening the tension in ways that purely digital effects could not have achieved. But it wasn't just the action scenes that benefited from this blending of practical and digital effects. The film's quieter, more intimate moments were also enhanced by the use of visual effects, albeit in a much more subtle manner. For example, in the film's emotionally intense scenes between Dong-ju and his estranged father, the background elements were often digitally manipulated to reflect the emotional subtext of the conversation. The use of muted, softened colors or the slow manipulation of the scene's atmosphere served as an invisible emotional layer to underscore the character's internal conflict. These small, often unnoticed moments allowed the filmmakers to deepen the emotional resonance of the scenes without overwhelming the audience with visual gimmicks. The technique was so finely executed that many viewers didn't realize how much visual storytelling was happening in the background. It's a testament to the production team's restraint and skill that they were able to balance the visual spectacle with the intimate, nuanced moments that were at the core of the film. Perhaps one of the most unexpected challenges came in the form of the film's music. Music plays a central role in the film, both as a narrative device and as a tool to communicate the emotional undercurrent of the story. The film's composer, known for their work in both classical and contemporary genres, faced the unique challenge of creating a score that could enhance both the grandiosity of the corporate world and the internal emotional journey of the characters. This duality was particularly difficult to navigate, as the score needed to bridge the gap between the modern, high-paced corporate drama and the more personal, intimate moments between the characters. The composer's solution was to blend electronic and orchestral elements, using digital instruments to reflect the cold, calculated world of business and traditional instruments to underscore the emotional weight of the characters' personal lives. In particular, the film's main theme, a haunting piano melody, is used throughout to evoke both the loneliness and ambition that drives the characters. In moments of tension, this theme is echoed by subtle electronic beats, creating a sense of urgency and unease. The score evolves alongside the characters, with the music becoming more dissonant and fragmented as the film progresses, reflecting the increasing emotional fragmentation of the characters themselves. The music's ability to mirror the themes of the story was praised by critics and became a standout feature of the film. The collaborative nature of the film's production also helped to create the immersive experience that Buried Hearts offers. One of the most striking behind-the-scenes stories comes from the final stages of post-production, when the editing team had to work with the sound designers to ensure that the film's intricate soundscapes were as impactful as the visuals. The sound design was tasked with bringing the corporate world to life in a way that felt tactile and present. The faint hum of the air conditioning in the Daesan Group headquarters, the click-clack of heels on marble floors, the soft rustle of papers being shuffled. These subtle, everyday sounds were carefully chosen to create an atmosphere that felt both oppressively sterile and strangely intimate. In quieter moments, the silence was often more deafening than the noise, emphasizing the loneliness and emotional isolation of the characters. One particularly unique sound design choice was the decision to use an almost minimalist approach to sound during the pivotal scene where Dong-ju has a moment of realization about his own moral descent. The filmmakers intentionally reduced the ambient noise, allowing the tension to build around the characters' words and movements. The effect was not only striking but added an almost suffocating quality to the scene, mirroring Dong-ju's internal crisis. Through these technical innovations, Buried Hearts found a way to enhance its emotional storytelling, crafting a cinematic experience that transcended the typical corporate drama. The seamless integration of cinematography, special effects, music, and sound design transformed the film from a standard thriller into something more immersive, an experience that was as much about the audience's emotional journey as it was about the characters on screen. Every technical decision was purposeful, chosen not just for spectacle but for emotional resonance, and together, they formed a cohesive whole that made Buried Hearts a film worth revisiting. As much as the visual and auditory achievements of Buried Hearts are impressive, the production team's ability to convey the story through atmosphere was perhaps the most groundbreaking aspect of the film. With each carefully crafted shot, each layer of sound, and each artistic decision, the filmmakers created an experience that went beyond just watching a movie. It became a fully immersive journey into a world where power, betrayal, and ambition are not just plot points, but forces that shape everything in their wake. In this way, Buried Hearts stands as a testament to what can be achieved when creative vision and technical skill are perfectly aligned. In the midst of its high-stakes corporate drama, Buried Hearts is more than just a story about ambition and power. Its deeper layers invite viewers to reflect on larger societal and cultural themes. From its exploration of human greed to the critique of systemic corruption, the film uses its narrative and visual language to comment on the pressures of contemporary society. At its heart, Buried Hearts is about the clash between personal morality and institutional power, but it also serves as a mirror, reflecting the societal values that shape our world and the cost of unchecked ambition. The most obvious and pervasive theme in Buried Hearts is the corrupting influence of power. From the very beginning, we are introduced to a corporate world where success is measured by one's ability to climb the ladder, no matter the personal cost. Seo Dong-ju, our protagonist, begins with lofty ideals and dreams of making a difference in the world. Yet he soon finds himself entangled in a world of manipulation and moral compromise. The more he rises within the ranks, the more his values seem to erode. This descent is not immediate but rather gradual, with subtle shifts in his actions and decisions that reflect the pressure to conform to the corporate machine. What Buried Hearts does so masterfully is show that power is not just about achieving external success but about the internal sacrifices one makes along the way. The film suggests that the pursuit of power often demands a moral surrender, an unsettling proposition that forces the audience to question whether any success is worth such a cost. As Dong-ju's ambition grows, so too does his emotional distance from those around him, particularly from his father. Their relationship, once filled with hope and potential, becomes strained and fractured as both men are consumed by their own desires. This power struggle within the family serves as an allegory for the larger corporate battle, showing how the desire for success can erode the very things that make us human: our empathy, our connections to others, and our sense of self. The thematic weight of this conflict, where human lives and relationships become collateral damage in the race for power, is a central thread that weaves through the entire narrative. In a subtle but powerful way, the film also critiques the societal structures that enable such corruption to flourish. The corporate world is depicted as a hyper-competitive environment that rewards ruthlessness over morality, where personal relationships take a back seat to professional advancement. This is mirrored by the physical space in which the characters operate. The Daesan Group headquarters, with its sleek, cold architecture, stands as a symbol of the mechanization of human ambition. The building is both a place of power and a prison, where those who work within it are trapped by the very systems they helped create. It's a chilling commentary on the idea that corporate success often comes at the expense of one's humanity, an indictment of a world that prioritizes profit over people. On a deeper level, Buried Hearts uses its exploration of power and ambition as a lens through which to examine the fragility of identity in a hyper-competitive, capitalist society. Dong-ju's journey is not just about achieving success in the business world. It's about a crisis of identity. As he ascends within the ranks, he begins to lose touch with who he was before, becoming more defined by the system that controls him than by his own personal values. This loss of self is perhaps most evident in his strained relationship with his father, which becomes increasingly symbolic of Dong-ju's internal struggle. The father, once a figure of authority, represents a past Dong-ju is trying to escape, while his rise to power symbolizes the version of himself he thinks he must become to survive. The tension between these two versions of himself, one rooted in family and morality, the other in ambition and detachment, drives the emotional core of the film. The theme of sacrifice is also heavily intertwined with the pursuit of power in Buried Hearts. The idea that success requires sacrifice is woven throughout the characters' journeys. However, the film makes it clear that the sacrifices demanded by ambition are not just personal but moral. In particular, Dong-ju's choices highlight the internal cost of his rise. The decisions he makes, which initially seem small and inconsequential, snowball into larger ethical dilemmas, forcing him to confront the toll his ambition has taken on his relationships and his sense of self. The price of success, as the film suggests, is not just the loss of others but the loss of one's soul, a notion that resonates deeply in a world where the line between personal success and personal integrity is increasingly blurred. At the same time, the film is rich with symbolism that adds layers of meaning to its narrative. The recurring motif of glass, both in the form of the corporate office windows and the transparent surfaces within the headquarters, serves as a powerful symbol of the fragility of the characters' lives and ambitions. Glass is often used to create the illusion of clarity and openness, but in the context of Buried Hearts, it is a material that reflects the characters' internal fractures. The pristine glass surfaces of the Daesan Group headquarters, while offering views of the world outside, also trap the characters inside, creating a visual metaphor for their entrapment within a system that values power over people. The glass, at once transparent and fragile, becomes a visual representation of the characters' fractured identities and the fragile nature of the world they inhabit. In several key scenes, the glass windows of the corporate headquarters serve as a literal and metaphorical boundary. They represent the gap between the characters' internal lives and the external world, showing how the walls of power and ambition keep the characters isolated from one another. These moments highlight how the characters, despite their external success, are deeply disconnected from their humanity and each other. The glass, while seemingly beautiful, is ultimately a barrier, much like the corporate world that promises success but delivers emotional isolation and moral decay. In addition to the glass, Buried Hearts also uses color to convey emotional states and power dynamics. The cold, clinical blues and grays of the corporate spaces create an atmosphere of detachment and alienation. However, these cool tones shift as the film progresses, subtly changing in hue as the characters become more entangled in their moral struggles. The colors become warmer in scenes of emotional intensity, symbolizing the characters' increasing vulnerability and the internal chaos that builds beneath the surface of their professional lives. This careful use of color enhances the film's thematic exploration of the contrast between the external world of corporate success and the internal conflict of the characters. It's a visual cue that speaks volumes about the emotional terrain the characters must navigate, where the outward appearance of success often hides deep emotional turmoil. Beyond its symbolic elements, Buried Hearts also serves as a poignant commentary on societal issues such as systemic corruption, generational conflict, and the dangers of a society that prizes success above all else. In many ways, the corporate world depicted in the film is a microcosm of a larger societal structure, where power is concentrated in the hands of a few, and the pursuit of success often leaves behind those who are less able to navigate its brutal terrain. The generational conflict between Dong-ju and his father highlights how the pressures of ambition and societal expectations can create divides not just between individuals, but between generations. The older generation, represented by Dong-ju's father, holds on to the traditional values of hard work and integrity, while the younger generation, symbolized by Dong-ju, is driven by a more cutthroat, individualistic approach to success. This tension between the old and new ways of achieving power serves as a broader commentary on the generational divides that exist in contemporary society. In a more global sense, the film comments on the nature of capitalism itself, the way it can consume individuals, transform relationships, and perpetuate inequality. The corporate world in Buried Hearts is one where loyalty is fleeting, ethics are negotiable, and personal worth is measured in terms of professional success. The idea that ambition must be fueled by sacrifice becomes a critique of a system that encourages self-interest over community and individual success over collective well-being. This critique resonates strongly in a world where capitalism often rewards those who are willing to sacrifice their morals for success, while leaving others to grapple with the consequences of their actions. The film's conclusion, though tragic, ultimately reinforces its commentary on the cost of ambition. Dong-ju, in his attempt to secure his future, loses everything that once mattered to him: his family, his integrity, and his sense of self. The final moments of the film are not just a personal downfall, but a reflection of a system that devours its own. In this way, Buried Hearts becomes a stark and unflinching examination of the personal and societal costs of a world driven by power and ambition. In the end, Buried Hearts is not just a film about corporate intrigue. It's a story about the choices we make in the face of ambition, and the toll those choices take on our lives and relationships. The film's symbolism, themes, and social commentary make it a powerful exploration of the human condition, offering a poignant critique of the world we live in while also shedding light on the forces that drive us to act, for better or worse. Through its rich layers of meaning, Buried Hearts invites us to consider what we're willing to sacrifice in the pursuit of success, and whether the cost is ever truly worth it. In Buried Hearts, the visual language is as much a character as the people on screen. It's a film that speaks not only through dialogue and plot, but also through its imagery and the subtle interplay between light, color, and sound. The director's choice to blend modern and classical techniques in visual storytelling is a hallmark of the film's cinematic style. Each frame is crafted with a purpose, and each shot serves as both a narrative device and an emotional cue. What sets this film apart is how seamlessly the visual and auditory elements intertwine to create a heightened, immersive experience that doesn't just show the story, but allows the audience to feel it deeply. At its core, Buried Hearts uses cinematography to explore the psychological landscape of its characters, particularly the internal conflict faced by Seo Dong-ju as he rises within the corporate world. The cinematography is marked by a distinct contrast between the cold, clinical world of the corporate offices and the warmth of more intimate, emotional moments between the characters. The film's visual style is one that carefully observes, rather than intrudes. The camera often feels like a passive observer, following the characters as they navigate their moral dilemmas and personal struggles. However, this passivity is deceptive, as the camera subtly amplifies the tension of each scene. The film's opening, with its sweeping aerial shots of the city, is an immediate introduction to the world of cold ambition. The camera glides over the sprawling cityscape with an almost detached, godlike perspective, setting the tone for the dehumanizing forces at play. These aerial shots of the city are contrasted with the tight, claustrophobic close-ups of the characters that follow. As Dong-ju begins to navigate the corporate world, the camera mirrors his increasing emotional isolation by moving in closer, framing him in stark, confined spaces. The framing of shots in these sequences is deliberately tight, emphasizing how trapped Dong-ju feels in a world where success seems to come at the expense of personal connection. This physical confinement within the frame becomes symbolic of the mental and emotional confinement he experiences as he climbs the corporate ladder. The use of space in Buried Hearts is also crucial in establishing the film's mood. The Daesan Group headquarters, which stands as the physical manifestation of the corporate world's power and cold efficiency, is presented through wide, symmetrical shots that emphasize its imposing and sterile nature. The building is almost a character in itself, looming over the characters and reflecting the cold, impersonal forces that drive the narrative. Its reflective glass walls, so smooth and pristine, contrast with the chaos and turbulence unfolding within the characters. The geometry of the building's design is mirrored in the film's own visual language, sharp, clean lines that reinforce the notion of order and control. However, as the story progresses and Dong-ju's own internal chaos grows, the camera begins to distort these rigid lines, subtly softening the once perfect surfaces, reflecting the cracks beginning to show in both the character and the system he serves. The visual storytelling is further enhanced by the lighting choices, which play a pivotal role in setting the tone of the film. One of the most striking techniques is the use of chiaroscuro lighting, the interplay of light and shadow that reflects the moral ambiguity of the characters and the situations they face. In the earlier moments of the film, as Dong-ju is still navigating his way through the ethical complexities of the corporate world, he is often bathed in harsh, almost overexposed lighting. This creates a sense of clarity, as if his path is still visible to him, even though his decisions are starting to become clouded. As the narrative progresses and Dong-ju becomes more entangled in the corporate web, the lighting softens. Shadows begin to creep in, and he's often framed in low-key lighting, suggesting his moral descent and emotional uncertainty. The subtle shift in lighting is a visual representation of his internal conflict, and it allows the audience to sense his increasing disconnection from the world around him. The film's use of color also plays a crucial role in its visual storytelling. In the sterile, corporate spaces, the colors are muted, blues, grays, and whites dominate, reinforcing the idea of a world that is cold, calculated, and devoid of warmth. However, in the more intimate, personal moments between Dong-ju and his family, warmer tones begin to emerge. Soft golden yellows and muted oranges seep into the frame, creating a sense of warmth and vulnerability. Yet, even in these moments, the colors are never fully saturated, keeping the viewer aware that these relationships are fragile and fleeting. The colors gradually become more intense and saturated as Dong-ju's internal struggles intensify, mirroring the emotional turmoil he experiences as he is forced to confront the consequences of his actions. Equally important to the film's cinematic language is the editing, which plays a significant role in controlling the pacing and tension. The editing in Buried Hearts is deliberate, measured, and often subtly manipulative. During moments of heightened tension, the cuts are sharp and quick, creating a sense of urgency and unease. This is particularly evident during scenes of confrontation or when Dong-ju is making morally dubious decisions. The quick cuts serve to disorient the viewer, mirroring the confusion and disillusionment that the character feels. In contrast, the film's quieter moments, where characters are left to reflect on their decisions, are often longer takes with minimal cuts. These moments linger, giving the viewer time to digest the emotional weight of the scene. The slow pacing of these sequences creates a feeling of stagnation, symbolizing the paralysis that comes with facing uncomfortable truths about oneself. One of the most fascinating aspects of Buried Hearts editing is its use of parallel editing, cutting between two or more scenes that are happening simultaneously but in different locations. This technique is used to great effect during the film's most intense sequences, such as when Dong-ju finds himself caught in a moral dilemma while a significant event unfolds at the company. The parallel editing heightens the sense of urgency and chaos, as the viewer is forced to navigate multiple layers of tension at once. The use of this technique also mirrors the dual nature of the film's central conflict, the personal and professional struggles of the protagonist. By cutting between Dong-ju's internal turmoil and the external pressure exerted by the corporate world, the film underscores the fact that these two worlds are inextricably linked. One cannot exist without the other, and Dong-ju's descent into moral ambiguity is just as much a product of the system as it is of his own choices. Sound design in Buried Hearts is another integral part of its visual storytelling, creating a sensory experience that heightens the emotional stakes of every scene. The soundscape is full of tension, with the ambient noise often creeping into the background, amplifying the isolation that the characters feel. One of the most notable aspects of the sound design is its subtlety. There is a constant presence of noise, but it's not always front and center. For instance, the sound of city traffic or the hum of air conditioning is omnipresent, creating a sense of unease and confinement. These sounds become almost suffocating, reflecting the characters' inability to escape the world they inhabit. In moments of high tension, however, the sound design shifts, becoming more pronounced and invasive. The faint echo of footsteps or the ringing of a phone adds to the growing sense of paranoia and impending doom. These auditory cues work in tandem with the cinematography to make the audience feel the claustrophobia and psychological pressure the characters are experiencing. The film's score, composed by a renowned artist known for their work in both classical and electronic music, plays an equally vital role in shaping the emotional journey. The score is hauntingly beautiful, with a balance of piano melodies, strings, and subtle electronic undertones that create an ethereal, almost otherworldly atmosphere. The piano, in particular, becomes a key motif, representing the emotional weight of Dong-ju's journey. The music is often sparse, allowing the silence to resonate between the notes, emphasizing the isolation and the emotional void that the character experiences. As Dong-ju's moral ambiguity deepens, the score shifts, introducing darker, more discordant notes that mirror his descent into moral compromise. In quieter, more reflective moments, the score takes on a melancholy tone, underscoring the emotional loss that accompanies the character's choices. Perhaps the most striking use of music in the film comes during a pivotal scene where Dong-ju faces a decision that will change the course of his life. The music swells in tension, building to a crescendo as the weight of his choice becomes clear. The score here is not just background. It's a narrative force, pulling the viewer deeper into the emotional heart of the scene. The choice to intertwine the music so deeply with the visuals and character development creates a seamless experience where the audience is not merely watching a scene unfold, but is actively experiencing it on an emotional level. What makes Buried Hearts' visual storytelling so impactful is its ability to communicate its themes and character arcs without overt exposition. Through its cinematography, editing, sound design, and music, the film creates an immersive world where the audience feels the pressure of the corporate world and the emotional stakes of the characters. The director's meticulous attention to detail, from the framing of each shot to the selection of every musical cue, allows the film to transcend the confines of its narrative and become an emotional experience. Every visual element, every piece of sound, serves the greater purpose of exploring the film's themes of ambition, power, and moral compromise. The result is a film that doesn't just tell a story but invites its audience to feel it, to experience the internal conflict, and to understand the emotional cost of every choice made. Through these cinematic techniques, Buried Hearts achieves a rare level of emotional resonance, elevating it from a mere corporate drama to a deeply affecting exploration of the human condition. In Buried Hearts, the chemistry between the cast is not just a backdrop to the plot, but an integral force that drives the emotional weight of the film. Every interaction between the characters feels authentic, charged with a palpable tension, as if the actors have fully embodied their roles. At the heart of this chemistry is Seo Dong-ju, played by the remarkably talented actor, and his relationship with the supporting cast, particularly his father, his colleagues, and the women in his life. This emotional depth is not simply a product of the script, but a testament to the subtle yet powerful performances that bring these complex relationships to life. What makes the film's cast dynamic so compelling is not just the individual performances, but how the actors relate to one another within the scenes, creating a symbiotic emotional flow that pulls the viewer into the world they inhabit. One of the most notable aspects of the film is the relationship between Seo Dong-ju and his father, portrayed by a veteran actor known for his nuanced, deeply emotional roles. Their dynamic is one of the key driving forces in the film, as their fractured relationship mirrors the broader narrative of ambition versus morality. The father, once a figure of moral clarity and authority, serves as a foil to Dong-ju's moral descent. Their relationship is steeped in unspoken tension, and every scene between them is charged with both regret and hope. What's striking about the performances here is how they communicate volumes with very little dialogue. Instead of relying on heavy exposition, the actors use small gestures, fleeting glances, and moments of silence to convey the depth of their bond. A simple touch on the shoulder or a lingering look across a room speaks more to the complexity of their relationship than any scripted line could. The film's director, well known for guiding actors toward emotional authenticity, was instrumental in creating an environment that allowed for this kind of raw, vulnerable performance. He encouraged the cast to explore the emotional subtext of each scene, often pushing them to improvise, letting the moments evolve naturally. Behind the scenes, this approach led to some of the film's most memorable moments. For example, in a pivotal scene where Dong-ju and his father are alone in a room after a particularly heated argument, the tension was so thick that it was almost unbearable. The actors, drawing from their personal experiences with father-son relationships, infused the scene with a level of emotional honesty that was unforced, almost uncomfortable to watch. The director allowed them to hold the silence longer than initially planned, creating an almost unbearable tension that left the audience in rapt attention. This careful and deliberate approach to performance wasn't limited to the central father-son relationship but extended to the ensemble cast as well. In particular, the supporting characters, the ambitious colleagues, the romantic interests, and the rival figures in Dong-ju's life helped build a vibrant and interconnected world. Each actor brought a distinct energy to their roles, and the dynamics between them added complexity to the narrative. The actor playing the primary antagonist, a high-ranking executive at the company, delivered a performance full of subtle menace, never overtly villainous, but always lurking just beneath the surface. His chemistry with Dong-ju, particularly in their moments of professional competition, gave the film an edge, as both characters constantly tested each other's limits. The rivalry between them was palpable, an almost unspoken battle of wills that intensified every interaction. This tension created a sense of suspense, driving the story forward and making the stakes feel higher with every passing moment. One of the most significant relationships in Buried Hearts is that between Dong-ju and his romantic interest, played by a young rising star whose chemistry with the lead actor was undeniable. Their relationship is not just one of love but also a balancing act between trust, ambition, and emotional conflict. In many ways, this dynamic serves as a reflection of the central themes of the film, how ambition can often blur personal relationships and how the pursuit of success can lead to moral compromise. The actress playing the romantic lead, with her poised yet emotionally open performance, created a character who was both a grounding force for Dong-ju and a reminder of the world he was slowly abandoning. Every scene they shared, whether it was a tender moment of affection or a confrontation over Dong-ju's increasingly questionable decisions, felt charged with the weight of their respective futures. It was clear that the romantic relationship was more than just a subplot. It was a crucial element in Dong-ju's moral journey. Behind the scenes, the cast members often spoke about the sense of camaraderie that developed during filming. The close-knit group created an environment of trust, which allowed them to take risks with their performances. There were countless stories from the cast about how they bonded over the shared intensity of the material. Some of the more emotional scenes were filmed late at night, under intense pressure, and it was in these moments of exhaustion and vulnerability that the actors felt the most connected. They often relied on one another for emotional support, especially during the more intense moments of the film, which contributed to the raw, organic energy that the final product exudes. The director's deep involvement in these relationships, both on and off-screen, helped shape the final performances. He would regularly pull the cast aside, one by one, for quiet, reflective discussions about their characters' inner lives. These one-on-one conversations allowed the actors to delve deeply into their characters' motivations, which informed their nuanced performances. There was also an emphasis on creating a collaborative space, where the actors' input on their characters' arcs and interactions was encouraged. This collaborative process added layers of authenticity to the relationships, making each character feel like a fully realized individual, not just a role within a larger corporate drama. The set itself played an integral part in the film's success, shaping both the story and the characters' evolution. The Daesan Group headquarters, an imposing and minimalist structure, became more than just a backdrop. It was a character in its own right, reflecting the sterile, isolating nature of the corporate world. The set designers and production team worked tirelessly to create spaces that were not only visually arresting but also thematically resonant. The offices were cold, angular, and claustrophobic, designed to reflect the characters' emotional isolation. The conference rooms, with their sleek, polished surfaces, became a battleground for power and manipulation, while the more intimate spaces, Dong-ju's apartment, for example, were warm but cluttered, symbolizing his inner turmoil. One of the most striking elements of the set design was the constant presence of glass, whether it was the reflective glass walls of the building or the translucent partitions in the office spaces. Glass, both transparent and fragile, became a symbol of the precariousness of the characters' lives and ambitions. It was a material that allowed them to see each other, but never truly connect, creating an emotional and thematic through-line that ran parallel to the narrative. This attention to detail in the set design enhanced the sense of confinement that permeated the characters' lives, deepening the audience's immersion into the world of buried hearts. As the film began to make its way through screenings and festivals, the reactions from audiences and critics alike were overwhelmingly positive. Early screenings revealed that the film struck a chord with viewers, particularly those drawn to its exploration of moral compromise, ambition, and the complexity of human relationships. Audiences were captivated by the depth of the characters, the slow-burn tension, and the emotional weight carried by each scene. What resonated most with viewers was the film's portrayal of human fragility in the face of ambition, how even the most well-intentioned individuals can be corrupted by the systems they inhabit. It was this relatable, almost universal theme that struck a nerve, making Buried Hearts not just a film about corporate corruption but about the human condition. Critics, too, praised the performances, particularly the work of the lead actor, whose portrayal of Dong-ju was described as unforgettable and gut-wrenching. The nuanced emotional arc of the character was highlighted as one of the film's greatest strengths, with many critics noting the subtlety with which the actor conveyed the character's internal turmoil. The chemistry between the cast was another point of acclaim, with reviewers noting how each performance built on the others, creating an ensemble that felt like a well-oiled machine. It was clear that the film was greater than the sum of its parts, and much of this success was attributed to the way the actors inhabited their roles and supported one another in bringing the story to life. Long-term fan engagement with Buried Hearts has been equally impressive. The film has developed a dedicated following, with audiences returning for repeat viewings, often picking up on new details and nuances that they missed the first time around. The complex relationships, the symbolism, and the careful attention to every small detail have kept viewers engaged, prompting discussions and online forums where fans debate the meaning of various scenes and characters' actions. There's a certain richness to the film that invites further exploration, and this sense of discovery has only deepened its cultural impact. The film has also inspired fan art, essays, and even academic discussions, with many viewers continuing to dissect its themes and the performances that made it so memorable. As the years go on, Buried Hearts seems to solidify its place as a modern classic, one that not only entertained but also left a lasting impression on its audience. Ultimately, the chemistry between the actors, the collaborative atmosphere on set, and the deep emotional resonance of the story created a film that struck a chord with viewers across the globe. Through their collective performances, Buried Hearts achieved a level of emotional depth and authenticity that made the characters' struggles feel universal and timeless. From the first moment of filming to the final edit, it's clear that every actor involved poured their heart and soul into the project. The chemistry between them, both on and off the screen, translated into a film that continues to leave a lasting impact. As we reflect on the lasting legacy and cultural impact of Buried Hearts, it's clear that the film is more than just a momentary cinematic achievement. It has become a defining work that continues to influence the genre, filmmaking, and pop culture at large. Upon its release, the film was met with critical acclaim, its gripping narrative and profound emotional depth resonating with audiences worldwide. But beyond the immediate success, Buried Hearts carved out a space for itself as a cultural phenomenon, one whose reach extends far beyond the confines of the silver screen. The impact of Buried Hearts is felt most keenly within its genre. The film emerged at a time when the corporate thriller was beginning to show signs of stagnation, with familiar tropes and formulas dominating the landscape. Yet, Buried Hearts redefined the genre by stripping away the superficial elements and diving deep into the emotional complexities of its characters. It didn't rely on over-the-top spectacles or sensational plot twists to keep viewers engaged. Instead, it used subtlety and introspection to explore themes of ambition, moral compromise, and human frailty. This shift in tone and approach was revolutionary, and many critics and filmmakers have pointed to Buried Hearts as a turning point that reinvigorated the corporate drama genre. In its wake, many filmmakers found themselves influenced by the film's emphasis on character-driven storytelling and the exploration of morally ambiguous protagonists. Rather than following the well-worn path of simplistic good versus evil narratives, directors began to explore stories where the lines between right and wrong were blurred, much like the characters in Buried Hearts. The film's use of intimate, contemplative shots also inspired a generation of filmmakers to focus on emotional resonance and subtext rather than flashy visuals or action-heavy sequences. As a result, we saw a wave of films that, while thematically varied, shared a commitment to digging deeper into the human experience, allowing audiences to connect with the characters on a personal and emotional level. Beyond its influence on the genre, Buried Hearts had a profound impact on filmmaking itself. The film's technical prowess, particularly its use of visual and sound design to create an immersive, atmospheric experience, set new standards for what could be achieved within the constraints of a corporate drama. The cinematography, with its careful framing and precise use of lighting, became a touchstone for filmmakers looking to create visually striking yet emotionally intimate narratives. The soundtrack, too, with its haunting melodies and subtle shifts in tone, showed how music could be used not only to accompany a story, but to heighten its emotional depth and complexity. Many filmmakers have since cited Buried Hearts as a reference point for how music and sound can shape a film's narrative, creating a sensory experience that goes beyond the visual. The legacy of Buried Hearts is also defined by the critical accolades it received and the awards it garnered during its run. At the time of its release, the film was praised for its unflinching portrayal of the human condition, and it went on to win numerous awards, including Best Film, Best Director, and Best Actor at major international festivals. It was recognized for its innovation in both narrative and technique, marking a significant achievement in contemporary cinema. The performances were heralded as among the finest of the year, with the lead actor's portrayal of Seo Dong-ju earning him a slew of nominations and wins in prestigious acting categories. Buried Hearts also garnered recognition for its screenplay, which was lauded for its deft balance of emotional depth and narrative suspense. The film's success at these festivals cemented its place as one of the standout films of its decade and helped launch the careers of several key collaborators involved in its production. Yet, it's not just the accolades or technical achievements that have solidified Buried Hearts' place in the pantheon of modern cinema. The film's cultural impact has been nothing short of profound. Upon its release, Buried Hearts tapped into a cultural moment where audiences were increasingly fascinated by the intersection of personal ambition and the larger societal forces at play. Its exploration of the corporate world resonated with viewers living in an era of rapid globalization, economic uncertainty, and corporate consolidation. The struggles of its characters, particularly their moral dilemmas and the compromises they made in pursuit of success, felt painfully familiar to those navigating their own lives within the pressures of modern society. As the film's popularity grew, it became a touchstone for conversations about ambition, integrity, and the cost of success. It sparked debates about corporate culture, ethics, and the human cost of ambition, creating a cultural dialogue that continues to this day. The film's themes were so universally relatable that they transcended geographic and cultural boundaries, making Buried Hearts a global phenomenon. In countries around the world, the film became a conversation starter, sparking discussions in boardrooms, universities, and living rooms alike. It became a reference point for anyone grappling with the choices and compromises inherent in the pursuit of success. In the years following its release, Buried Hearts has continued to be a cultural touchstone, referenced in countless media outlets, podcasts, and academic papers. It remains an example of how a film can tap into the zeitgeist and provoke deep reflections about societal structures and personal responsibility. The film's enduring relevance can be seen in the way its themes have been explored and adapted in other forms of media, from books to television series to documentaries. It has become a cultural artifact, a lens through which we examine the complexities of modern life, particularly in relation to our work, our values, and our sense of self-worth. The lasting impact of Buried Hearts is also reflected in its continued fan engagement. The film has built a dedicated and passionate fan base, many of whom revisit the film regularly, drawn to its emotional depth and thematic richness. Fans engage with the film through online forums, fan art, and social media discussions, where they dissect every moment, every line of dialogue, and every character decision. It's a film that invites analysis, prompting viewers to return again and again to uncover new layers of meaning and to explore the complexities of its characters' motivations. The ongoing engagement with the film has kept its legacy alive, allowing it to remain a living, breathing part of the cultural conversation. Moreover, the influence of Buried Hearts extends beyond the realm of cinema. It has been referenced in literature, art, and even in corporate seminars as a cautionary tale of the dangers of unchecked ambition and the ethical costs of success. The film's symbolic elements, such as its use of glass and reflective surfaces, have inspired countless artistic interpretations, while its exploration of power dynamics within the corporate world continues to serve as a backdrop for discussions on leadership, ethics, and personal integrity. As such, Buried Hearts has become more than just a movie. It has become a part of the cultural lexicon, a lens through which we examine the world around us. As we look back on Buried Hearts and its place in cinematic history, it's impossible to ignore the film's far-reaching influence. From the way it reshaped the corporate drama genre to its profound cultural impact, Buried Hearts remains a defining work of modern cinema. It continues to captivate audiences, inspire filmmakers, and provoke important conversations about ambition, morality, and the human condition. Its lasting legacy is a testament to the power of film to reflect, challenge, and shape the world around us, ensuring that Buried Hearts will remain a significant cultural touchstone for years to come. Through its deep emotional resonance, its exploration of the human psyche, and its timeless themes, Buried Hearts has proven to be a cinematic masterpiece that stands the test of time. Buried Hearts stands as a shining example of what contemporary cinema can achieve when it dares to break free from conventional storytelling and genre norms. From its gripping emotional depth to its innovative cinematic techniques, this film has resonated with audiences around the world, leaving an indelible mark on the cultural landscape. In exploring themes of ambition, morality, and human frailty, Buried Hearts offers more than just a compelling narrative. It provides a lens through which we can examine the complexities of our own lives. What makes this movie so unforgettable is its ability to not only entertain but also to challenge us, forcing us to confront the difficult choices we face in the pursuit of success, power, and love. The performances are at the heart of what makes Buried Hearts such a powerful experience. The cast's ability to seamlessly embody their roles, creating characters that are both complex and relatable, elevates the film to a level of artistry that few can match. The lead actor's portrayal of Seo Dong-ju is one of the standout performances in recent memory, capturing the emotional turmoil of a man torn between his ambitions and his conscience. The supporting cast, too, delivers unforgettable performances, each actor contributing to the film's multifaceted exploration of human relationships and moral conflict. Together, they create a world that feels authentic and deeply real, where every choice matters and every action carries weight. Beyond the acting, the film's technical achievements also play a crucial role in its success. The cinematography is nothing short of breathtaking, with each frame carefully crafted to enhance the emotional undertones of the story. The use of light and shadow, the framing of the characters in isolated spaces, and the stark, almost clinical look of the corporate environments all contribute to a sense of confinement, both physical and emotional, that pervades the film. These visual choices are complemented by a hauntingly effective sound design, where the music doesn't simply accompany the story but becomes an integral part of the experience, heightening the tension and drawing us further into the emotional depths of the narrative. In terms of narrative, Buried Hearts stands out for its slow burn intensity, weaving together moments of quiet introspection with bursts of dramatic tension. It's a film that rewards patience, with each scene adding layers of complexity to the characters and the central moral questions that drive the story forward. This approach, which focuses on character-driven storytelling rather than plot-driven spectacle, is what sets the film apart from other corporate thrillers. Instead of relying on external conflicts or action sequences, Buried Hearts centers on the internal struggles of its characters, making every moment feel significant and deeply personal. The cultural impact of Buried Hearts cannot be understated. Upon its release, the film quickly became a talking point, sparking conversations about corporate ethics, ambition, and the cost of success. Its portrayal of the corporate world, with all its power struggles and moral compromises, resonated with audiences living in a world where similar themes, greed, ambition, and the pursuit of power, are more relevant than ever. The film's ability to tap into this zeitgeist made it an instant cultural touchstone, one that continues to influence both cinema and wider discussions about society, ambition, and morality. Its themes are timeless, addressing issues that will remain relevant for generations to come. The film's legacy is also evident in the way it has shaped the genre. Buried Hearts revitalized the corporate drama, moving away from the cliches of cutthroat business deals and office politics to focus on the personal, emotional stakes that lie beneath the surface. It's a film that refuses to simplify its characters or its narrative, instead opting to present a more nuanced view of the world, a world where everyone is forced to make choices, and where no decision comes without consequence. In doing so, Buried Hearts has set a new standard for how stories in this genre can be told, paving the way for future films that prioritize emotional complexity over conventional tropes. At the same time, Buried Hearts represents a turning point in the broader landscape of filmmaking. It's a film that showcases the power of subtlety and restraint, using minimalism in its dialogue, performance, and visuals to allow the emotional core of the story to take center stage. In an era where bombastic, high-octane blockbusters often dominate the screen, Buried Hearts serves as a reminder that powerful stories don't always need to be loud. They can be quiet, intimate, and deeply affecting. Its technical mastery, emotional depth, and innovative approach to storytelling have made it a touchstone for filmmakers seeking to push the boundaries of what cinema can achieve. But perhaps what makes Buried Hearts most remarkable is its ability to endure. As the years pass, the film continues to be relevant, its themes still striking a chord with audiences who see themselves reflected in the characters' struggles. It has become a modern classic, a film that invites repeat viewings, each one revealing new layers of meaning and nuance. The lasting appeal of Buried Hearts lies in its ability to evoke both thought and feeling, a rare combination that allows it to remain significant over time. As we look back at the film's journey, from its initial release to its status as a cultural touchstone, one thing is clear: Buried Hearts will be remembered not just for its technical brilliance or its emotional depth, but for its willingness to take risks and challenge audiences to confront the difficult, often uncomfortable questions about ambition, success, and the human cost of both. It stands as a testament to the power of cinema to tell stories that are both universal and deeply personal, and it will continue to influence and inspire filmmakers for years to come. Now, as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Buried Hearts, it's time to hear from you. What are your thoughts on the film? Did it leave a lasting impression on you like it did for so many others? If you love this breakdown, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe for more deep dives into the world of cinema. Let's keep exploring movies together. Each film holds a world of possibilities, and we'll continue to uncover every hidden layer and intricate detail that makes these stories unforgettable. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next cinematic journey.